Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, martes el 11 de febrero. Our learning target for today continues to be talking about family members and your relationship to one another. Your warm-up question for today is a continuation of your homework from last class. ¿Tienes un mejor amigo o amiga? Do you have a best friend? ¿Cómo se llama? What is their name? Sí, tengo un mejor amigo, or sí, tengo una mejor amiga. Se llama Richard. We will then do a reading on page 116 having to do with family traditions. The comprehension activities 1 and 3 on page 117. And then finally some new notes on descriptive adjectives and then an exit ticket pertaining to those no homework due for next class. All right, so taking a look at those notes, or the reading rather, tradiciones familiares, there are three parts to this reading. Vivir con los padres, living at home with family, with your parents. What is the cultural norm in the Spanish-speaking world, and the reasons behind it. ¿Cuántos hijos? How many children do families typically have in the Spanish-speaking world? And what are the motivating factors or the influential factors pertaining to that decision? And then finally, apellidos, last names. How are last names carried down from parents to children? Those are what the three paragraphs are about. You have activity 1, completing the sentences with the correct information according to the readings. And you can write the answers in English or in Spanish, ideally English since the statements are all in English. For example, number 1, in many Spanish-speaking countries, people use two last names. The first name refers to the father's or paternal surname. Adult children in Spanish-speaking countries tend to live at home longer with their parents. Elements such as job opportunities and the high cost of living impact their decisions. And then as a result of more women in the workforce, it is harder for couples to have or start a family, to have children. Activity 3 asks you to create 4 columns comparing those 3 traditions, family traditions outlined in the reading. Those are living at home with parents, having a family, having children, and last names. And so in that T-chart, you're going to fill in the tradition itself, those 3 subheadings. You can do it in English or in Spanish, either way. In países hispanohablantes, in Spanish-speaking countries, what is the tradition? As it's outlined in the reading. What is the tradition in our community? Community being here locally in Brentwood, Discovery Bay, what have you, or in the state of California or United States of America, however you want to define family, however you want to define community, and then family in your own family situation. How do you and your family navigate that tradition? How does it compare? So you're going to do that, filling in that chart for those 3 traditions. Living with family, how many children do they have, and then the tradition of last names. All right, next on the agenda is to go over the grammar of descriptive adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe people, places, and things. In Spanish, descriptive adjectives are used with the verb ser to point out characteristics such as nationality, size, color, shape, personality, and appearance. In English, adjectives don't change or are influenced at all by the gender and number of nouns that they describe. In Spanish, however, adjectives do agree in gender, masculine, feminine, and number, singular, plural, with the nouns or pronouns they describe. Juan es simpático, masculine, singular. Elena es simpática, feminine, singular. Ellos son simpáticos, masculine, plural. So adjectives that end in O have four forms: masculine, singular, feminine, singular, masculine, plural, feminine, plural. You can see that outlined there in the middle of page 118. Adjectives that end in E are considered gender neutral and thus are the same in both masculine and feminine forms. The plural form would just end in S, as you can see there. For both masculine plural and feminine plural would be the same, ending in ES. Adjectives ending in OR change to ORA in the feminine singular, ORAS for the feminine plural, and ORES for the masculine plural. Not very common, these adjectives, but nonetheless important to be familiar with them. Here are some very common adjectives used in Spanish. And again, then the ending of the adjective changes in accordance with the different gender and number of the speaker. Colors, technically adjectives, so therefore they follow that grammatical rule of changing with the noun that they modify, and then nationality as well. Some nationalities end in O or A, some nationalities end in a consonant, so to make them feminine, we would just add an A. Notice though nationalities, just like, contrary to English, nationalities in Spanish are not capitalized, as you can see here in these examples. Finally, on page 120, and then we'll wrap up with our exit ticket, is the position of adjectives. Adjectives in English typically go before the noun, whereas in Spanish the adjective goes after the noun. You can see in these examples here, el niño rubio es de España, la mujer española habla inglés. Rubio, an adjective going after the noun niño, española going after the noun mujer. Lastly, they talk about grande, how it can change the meaning. Grande can go before the noun or after the noun. When it goes before the noun, it's abbreviated to gran, and no longer means big, as it would typically mean as an adjective after the noun. When grande is changed to gran and goes before the noun, it means great. Like Don Francisco es un gran hombre. So some adjectives can go before the noun, such as bueno and malo. There is a little bit of flexibility there. In this case with grande, it actually changes the meaning of the word. All right, last minute here. For the intentino at the bottom of page 120, provide the appropriate forms of the adjectives. I'm going to pause for a moment to give you a chance to fill these in, and then I'll give you the correct answers. Okay, correct answers for the intentino at the bottom of page 120. Your exit ticket for today: changing the ending of the adjective in accordance with the noun that it modifies. Mi hermano es simpático, masculine, singular. La profesora Martinez es simpática, feminine, singular. Rosa y Teresa son simpáticas, feminine, plural. Nosotros somos simpáticos, mixed gender, and we always default to the masculine plural. La calculadora es azul. No need to make feminine when ending in a consonant. El papel es azul. Las maletas son azules, ES. Los libros son azules, ES. When making the adjective plural, adding ES if it ends in a consonant. Ans es alemán, masculine singular. No need to add anything. Mis primas son alemanes, ES. Masculine plural, or feminine plural rather. Marcus y yo somos alemanes, and forgive me for that, number 2 would be alemanas. Mis primas is feminine plural. Alemanas for number 2. Alemanes for number 3. Mi tía es alemana for number 4, feminine singular. And then the last one, su esposo es guapo, masculine singular. Mis sobrinas son guapas, feminine plural. Los padres de ellas son guapos, masculine plural. Marta es guapa, feminine plural.